Senator Bernie Sanders here now, Democratic presidential candidate. I want to get to that argument from Hillary Clinton in a second, but first, this breaking news overnight from North Korea, another nuclear test, perhaps a hydrogen bomb. If you were in the Oval Office, what would you do about it?
Well, first of all, we're going to have to lean on China. China is North Korea's closest ally. They're going to have to push North Korea to start adhering to international agreements.
How do we lean on China?
Well, China and we have a relationship. China is equally concerned about what North Korea is doing. North Korea is a paranoid, isolated nation. When you have a hydrogen bomb, if that's true, you are a threat to China as well.
How about this argument from Hillary Clinton yesterday? Clearly believes that she can make the pitch. She's far more electable than you are.
Well, I would suggest that Secretary Clinton look at the last Quinnipiac poll, which has me leading Trump by a significantly higher margin than she does. And that's true of other polls as well. Look, two things. Number one, I believe that our campaign is generating the kind of grassroots excitement that will result in a high voter turnout. Democrats need a high voter turnout to win. I think we can do that. Second of all, for a variety of reasons, I think we can do better against Trump or other Republicans than can Secretary Clinton.
What's the number one reason?
The number one reason, I think, is that the issues that we are talking about, the disappearing middle class, massive levels of income and wealth inequality, the fact that Wall Street's greed has had a huge impact on the lives of millions of people. People want leadership now to stand up to the big money interest, protect working people. That's what I've done my whole
Secretary
life.
Clinton says that her plans to take on Wall Street are tougher than yours.
Well, actually, they are not. We're talking about breaking up the large financial institutions so that the middle class of this country will not again have to bail them out. We're talking about the reality that when you have a handful of banks, half a dozen banks that have assets equivalent to 60% of the GDP of America, that is dangerous to our economy and to our political life. You got to break them up. You have to reestablish Glass-Steagall legislation. That is not Secretary Clinton's position.
A lot of experts have said that's not fundamentally at the core of what the problem is right now. But I want to get to another point.
Well, I disagree with that. That is exactly what the core is.
But so many of the problems were created by the banks that weren't under Glass-Steagall.
They were funded by the banks, by the large financial institutions.
And you've also said that you're upset that the leaders of those financial institutions, some did not go to jail. But can you point to any one of those where there's evidence that they committed a crime?
George, since 2009, large financial institutions have paid over $200 billion in fines. Now, if you're paying $200 billion in fines for illegal activity and reaching settlements with the government, you tell me if there was not culpability.
Can you name an individual?
Well, give you one example. Wachovia, which was later bought by Wells Fargo, was convicted of laundering Mexican drug money. What do you think? You think somebody might be guilty? $200 billion in fine, nobody prosecuted? I think what you have is a situation where banks are not only too big to fail, bankers are too big to jail.
Just about out of time, about 3.5 weeks away from Iowa. Are you going to win there?
I think we got a real good shot at it. We got a great ground organization. There's a lot of enthusiasm. We're bringing out big crowds.
Senator Sanders, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Robin?
Yeah, we appreciate the candidates continuing to come here to our studios.